Hey everybody, this is Chad, the gaming dad here on Dad's Games, and this is the first of what I'm hoping I can do weekly, is get on here and has to have a topic to talk about, and not really a podcast or anything like that, but just maybe one topic that I think is something that might need some attention. I mean, after all, I am the gaming dad, so I'm going to be here to give everybody a little bit of fatherly advice, if you want to call it like that. Some sort of thing that maybe I might know, and something that I hope everybody else either knows or brings this to their attention. So, in the future, you guys can leave me some comments and ask me questions. Maybe it'll be something that I'll pick for another, Father Knows Best segment, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, the thing that's on my mind today is something that I was talking about with some people at work. I actually happen to work at an insurance company, super exciting, right? Woohoo, right? That's why I play video games. That's why I'm doing this channel. But the thing that I want to talk about today is everybody that has a collection. Somebody, whether you're like a big time collector, going for like a complete NES or something like that, or a complete anything, or if you're just somebody who likes games a lot and buys a lot of games, you have to think about this. It's not a good topic. It's not something fun that people want to talk about a lot. But just like anything else in the world, your games are a physical object. This is the thing, right? You can break this. It can be stolen. It can be lost. It can get caught up in your house if there happens to be any kind of a disaster, like if there's a fire or if there's a tornado or a monsoon. Who knows? The big wave comes in and crashes into your house, and all of a sudden your game room is flooded. What would you do? What would you do? I don't have the hugest collection in the world, but I just kind of did some rough figures, because I got a few hundred NES games and a few hundred of this and a couple hundred of that. I got a lot of games, and a lot of the newer ones obviously are going to be worth $40 or $50 if you were going to have to go right out and replace them. But the old games, some of them you just can't replace. And if you were going to replace them, maybe, let's say, like, for instance, I have a Conker's Bad Fur Day. I had it since the game came out, back whenever, back in the old days, in the 90s. And now, that cartridge alone, when I go to stores, is $100 plus. Might be a little less than that on eBay, but at retail, we're talking about like $100 for one game. And so it got me thinking that, as far as insurance goes, if you own your house, you have homeowners insurance, and you need to make sure that you have adequate coverage. I know this sounds like a very boring topic for a video game channel, but believe me, if something happens to you, whether something happens to your house or someone steals your games or whatever, I mean, you're going to wish that you had this. Now, if you live at home with your parents or whatever, and you have a huge collection, you might want to ask them and see if they have coverage, because your games, I mean, they can get pretty expensive. And like I was saying, I don't have the biggest collection, but if you add everything up, it's tens of thousands of dollars to replace this stuff, even if you could replace it. I mean, God forbid there's an accident, there's a fire, something happens, there's a tornado. The first thing you want to care about, obviously, is that your family and yourself, get out and everybody's safe. Nobody got hurt or whatever. But the next thing that's going to be on your mind, if you're a serious video game collector or just a person who just loves their games and stuff, is, oh my gosh, all my stuff. What am I going to do about that? And I'm just telling you, it's something you got to think about. Something we don't think about. I mean, when I go out to the flea market and grab games, or I'm going to a convention and I grab a bunch of games and stuff, I'm excited. I want to grab some games. I'm going to go home and play them. I'm going to put them in my phone. I'm going to add them to my collection. I'm going to clean them up, put them on my shelf. They're going to look awesome. I'm going to play them. It's going to be fun. I never think about the fact that these are just physical objects that might not be there forever. I mean, I hope they are. And for most of us, we're never going to have to worry about this stuff. I mean, most people aren't going to go through a major disaster. But look in the newspaper. You hear it all the time. People that have house fires, or when there's tornadoes and stuff like that. These things get damaged. I'm just telling you, This week's episode of Father Knows Best is really just me warning everybody that you're going to definitely want to check, because if you have insurance, if you own your own house, you have homeowners insurance, if you live with your parents, they should have insurance. You might want to double check and make sure that there's enough coverage in there that in the event something happens and you lose your whole collection, would you be able to replace it? Is there money there to pay you back? Now, if you're watching this in another country, I'm in the US, and I'm not sure exactly how it works in other countries, but if you have something that is the equivalent of homeowners insurance or something, definitely look into it, because for as much time as we all spend, game hunting and playing our games and loving this stuff, oh my gosh, would it be heartbreaking to lose it all and have nothing to show for it and have to start over. I mean, yeah, going out and having to hunt down some stuff again might be pretty fun, especially if you get to go find those games again. But man, having to pay for everything all over again now that things are even more expensive than maybe what you got it for in the past, I'm telling you, man, it would be a nightmare. Nightmare for me, and I'm going to check. I have insurance on my house, but I'm definitely, after I talk with one of my coworkers this week, I'm definitely going to check and make sure that I have more coverage, because as soon as I started kind of doing some rough math, it's big numbers. If you have a huge collection, if you have a complete set of something, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. If you went ahead and looked up every game that you have on one of these values online, like the price charting and stuff, and you added it all up, I bet you have a much bigger number than you'd expect. And if something happened, your games were gone, someone steals them, something happens to them, and they're lost, it would be really nice to have somebody to get you paid back on that, because, man, I don't even like talking about the subject, but I just had to get it out there. I had to tell you guys about it because it was something that was on my mind this week. And here it is, Friday evening, and like I said, I'm hoping that I can do this weekly, as well as my normal videos and stuff. But I'd love to talk to you guys one-on-one like this, just talk straight out to the subscribers, and let you know what's on my mind. And once again, like I said, if you have any ideas or suggestions for topics that we can talk about, go ahead and send me a note, put something down in the comments, and we're always gonna read that stuff. I read every single one of them, and we'll see what happens from there. And maybe we'll talk about a subject that you're thinking of. But for this week, check your insurance. Even if you live in an apartment, you can get renter's insurance. And it sounds like I'm trying to sell you insurance. I'm not. I'm basically just telling you that there's something available out there, and it usually doesn't cost that much, especially for homeowners insurance, because it almost never happens. It almost never happens. But if it does, you want to have something there to save your stuff. One way or the other. Gosh, I don't know how many consoles you guys have, but I have a bunch of different consoles and a ton of different games. You see in the video, I keep looking over here. That's where the shelf of all my games is. As I'm talking about this, I keep looking over at my big shelf full of games, and I'm just thinking, man, if that shelf was gone, oh, I'd be one sad gaming dad. I'll tell you that much. So anyway, everybody, that's it for this week, and hope this was informative or whatever. And I'm going to try to see if this is something that might be fun to do every week. Again, throw me a like, send me some comments, and we'll see what we can do. But until next time, everybody, remember, you never outgrow video games. I'm Chad the Gaming Dad, and this is Dad's Games. Thanks again for watching, like always, and we'll see you later. So long, everybody.